Well, now that we know we want to add some students to our classes so we can view specific student results, we need to set up some class lists in our Smart Response system. To do that, on your bottom toolbar, you need to find your little yellow Smart Response icon, and again, if you can't see it, use your little Out button so that you can find it. And you want to go to the second option, which is your Teacher Tools, and you'll see your Smart Response Teacher Tools start loading up. And then you should be able to come up to this Smart Response Teacher Tools, which will tell you that you have anonymous mode set up. Anonymous mode, students answer anonymously. You need to set up class list to track student performance, and which that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to create a Smart Teacher file and set up class lists. And we need to now find out, the main thing here is to put in your information, your last name. You can put in more information if you want to. It is certainly not required. The only thing that they would want you to have in is your last name. And then you're going to hit save. And you will get a box that asks you to save as and where you want to save your teacher file. And it creates a Smart Teacher file. So it's specifically named a teacher document, which is interesting. I just usually save it in my documents, so wherever you want to put it so that you can find it. But normally you don't have to go find it. Class lists, assessments, and reports. Go to the gradebook view. So we're going to work with some class lists so we can create our class lists. And now we can see anonymous mode has a green dot because we have everybody signed in anonymous mode right now. But I want to add a class. I want to make a class of my students. So I'm going to add a class, and the class name, if you teach more than one class, you might want to name this what period or what block that you teach first, and then you can add different ones, and I'll go through adding different ones in. If you only teach one class, you might just want to name this whatever your class is or what room number you are. So I'm going to start off by naming this block 1. And you don't have to put in a period or location. That's entirely up to you what you want to put in, if you do or not. The passing grade, the only thing this affects is what color it shows up in your grade book. A student who does not meet that passing grade will show up in red. A student who has met that passing grade will show up in your grade book as black, as normal type. So you can change this to a 60, to a 70, whatever you want to be a red flag to you in your grade book. And then you can add that class. And so now over here on the side you see we have block 1 in addition to the anonymous mode. You don't lose that option for anonymous mode, which is a nice option in case you just want to make a quick check. Give students a little sense of security that they're answering anonymously. But right now we need to work with block 1. I have block 1. This class is not started. I do not want to start this class. If I start the class, I can't add students. I want to add students. Now, it would seem that adding students to your class would be what you want to do, but if you click on this link, it's going to want to import your students from maybe an Excel document. If you have your students already typed out in Excel, that's fine. However, most of South Carolina, which is where we are, has gone to using PowerSchool. It will not import students from PowerSchool. So you're going to have to physically type in your students' names. So up here on the top, you want to go to the Students tab. And now we can add students in, specifically in this grade book in these columns. So we're just going to double click, and every student has to have an ID number. And every student has to have a unique ID number. So you cannot just name them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in the next class do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again, because it will tell you, Smart Notebook will tell you that you've already used that number. So an option that you might want to use is to do 100s for your first class, 200s for your second class, 300s for your third class. Or if you just want to number straight through, 1 through however many students you teach, so if you do your first class 1 through 20, start your second class with 21. Whatever system works for you, but every student has to have an ID number. If they have an ID number that they know that you want to use, you can make sure that you have their specific ID numbers, and you can use those. Whatever system works for you, I use the 100-200 system. So since this is my first class, I'll do 101 for student 101. then click in the next box, and I can type in, let's say that I am lucky enough to teach Albert Einstein in this class. I have a nice little brainiac here. And then type in his first name. You don't need to type in anything in average. That will come up whenever they start taking quizzes. Now you'll notice when I click on the next line, my student ID is kind of blurred out. I can't see it. So if I've lost track of which number I was on, it'd be kind of hard for me to go figure out what I need to do without going back and counting. But in the corner I see privacy is on. The privacy on blurs out certain information like the IDs and the averages. While I'm working on giving them ID numbers, I probably want to turn the privacy off. Just click on that little icon, and now instead of a block you get an eyeball so you can see things. Privacy's off, and now I can see Albert Einstein was 101. I can double click and name my next student 102, and let's type in his information. And I'm lucky enough to have Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton in the same class. I've got a little class of scientists going. And I can double click in the next box and type in my next number. And all I'm doing to get from box to box is hitting the tab. You can, instead of typing in these boxes, come down and type the student ID and everything in here. So my next number would be 104. And it will even tell me I have to type in an ID, a first name, and a last name. So let's go ahead and type in the rest of my information. Let's put a few more scientific students in here. I have and let's do one more. And again, you can type in either place. I find it easier to type in the boxes on the top because I can hit tab to go to the next box, the next field that I need to enter. And something I have noticed up here tells me last name and then first name. If I'm typing down here, I do first name, last name. So I would just make sure that you are paying attention to which method that you're using. Stick with one method so that you don't mix up last names and first names. Alright, so let's say now that I have 6 students in my class. I'm done adding students to this class, and I want to add another class. I teach more than one class, so I want to add another class. I don't have to hit save. I don't have to do anything else. Once I've added these students in, they are in. But I want to add another class, so over on the side, on the left-hand side, I'm going to add a class. And I get the same screen I did before. So let's call this Block 2. And again, I don't have to add my period or location. If I want to change my passing grade up to 60 or 70, whatever I want that red flag to be, and add this class I've started with, tells me I haven't started the class. I do not want to start the class right now. I can't add students from PowerSchool, so I'm going to have to type them in, go to the Students tab, and I can start typing in my next class's information. So double click where student ID is, and now since this is my second class, I like going with the option of at 200s now. Again, whatever option that you're using that works for you and your students, go with that. You just can't reuse an idea that you've already used in another class. So this is student 201, and let's say that now I have Bugs Bunny. My first class I had some really nice good scientists. Now I guess my next class I'm going to have some characters in this class. So I can add however many students are in this class following the same procedure of adding in ID number, last name, first name, and that way I can have all my students added in. Just follow the same process for all the classes that you have. You're going to add a class, type in whichever class title you have, change the passing grade if you would like to, add the class, go to the Students tab, and double click to start adding in student ID, last name, first name. And remember, you cannot use the same ID over. You have to give every student a different ID number. So just keep that in mind whenever you are adding students in, that you have to have a different ID number. And you can go back just to feel safe and secure that your students are still there. If I wanted to go back to block 1 and make sure I didn't forget to add in Thomas Edison, well, my students are still there. I didn't have to hit save, it automatically saved it for me. Here's Thomas Edison in my first block, he has number 101. So that is how you can add your students in. Once you have added all your students for all your classes in, they will be able to sign in on the remotes and take the quizzes under their name, which will give you a lot more information and a lot more feedback for your specific students. So go through, add all your students in. When you're ready, come back to the next step of the tutorial and we can look at how to administer a quiz with students signed in under their name.